The last line of defense. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of humanity's last major defense installation, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling anomaly that stretched across the stars like an oil slick on water. The Aegis station hung in high orbit above Earth, a testament to how far humanity had come, and perhaps how far they still had to go. The Collective, an alliance of 17 advanced alien civilizations, had dismissed her warnings. Their quantum computers and hyper-rational minds couldn't process what they were seeing. But Sarah knew. She'd felt it in her bones long before their sensors detected it. Something ancient was stirring in the void between galaxies, something that defied their understanding of physics and reality itself. "Integration sequence complete, Commander," announced Dr. Marcus Rivera, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his shoulders. The neural interface chamber behind them hummed with power, its crystalline surfaces reflecting the ethereal blue light of the quantum core. NEXUS is ready for the final merge. NEXUS, the Neural Exchange Universal System, represented humanity's greatest achievement and biggest gamble. While the Collective relied on pure artificial intelligence, humanity had taken a different path. They'd created a hybrid system that merged human consciousness with quantum computing, allowing for decisions driven by both logic and instinct. Sarah touched the neural implant at the base of her skull, feeling its familiar warmth. "Status of the anomaly." "Growing exponentially," Marcus replied, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. "The Collective's containment fields are failing. Their AIs can't adapt fast enough to the changing parameters." A message flashed across the main screen. The Collective's High Council requesting immediate communication. Sarah squared her shoulders and accepted the transmission. The stern face of first speaker Zorax materialized, their crystalline features arranged in what passed for concern among their species. "Commander Chen, your species' persistence in this matter borders on irrationality," Zorax stated, their melodic voice carrying undertones of frustration. "Our calculations show no logical pattern to this phenomenon. It cannot be what you claim." Sarah fought back a bitter laugh. "With respect, first speaker, that's exactly why we're right. This entity doesn't follow your logic because it's not bound by it. It's something older than our understanding of physics, older than consciousness itself. You suggest we trust human instinct over quantum probability." Another council member interrupted, their voice thick with skepticism. "I suggest," Sarah replied carefully, "that there are things in this universe that can't be understood through pure logic. That's why we created NEXUS. It combines human intuition with computational power. We don't just calculate probabilities, we feel them." The council chambers erupted in overlapping voices, each member trying to argue the impossibility of Sarah's claims. But their debate was cut short as alarms blared across every ship and station in the system. The anomaly had begun to pulse, sending waves of distortion through space-time itself. "Multiple breaches detected," Marcus called out, his calm professionalism cracking slightly. "The Collective's defensive line is collapsing." Sarah watched as the advanced alien ships, for all their technological superiority, began to fail. Their perfect formations broke apart as reality itself seemed to bend around them. The entity wasn't attacking them. It was simply existing in a way that their ordered, logical minds couldn't process. "Begin NEXUS integration," Sarah commanded, striding toward the neural interface chamber, "and patch me through to all Collective channels." "Commander," Zorax interrupted, "this is not the time for human experimentation. We must fall back and recalculate." "There won't be time to recalculate," Sarah cut them off, her voice hard with conviction. "This entity isn't just a threat to our reality. It's a predator that feeds on consciousness itself. The more we try to understand it through pure logic, the stronger it becomes." The neural interface chamber opened with a soft hiss as Sarah stepped inside. Crystalline tendrils descended from above, connecting with her neural implant as Marcus initiated the startup sequence. She felt NEXUS awakening in her mind, its vast computational power merging with her human consciousness. The collective has spent millennia perfecting logic and removing emotion from their decision-making. Sarah continued, her voice remaining steady as the integration deepened. But they forgot something crucial. Fear isn't just an emotional response. It's an evolutionary tool, developed over millions of years to help us recognize and react to threats we don't yet understand. Through NEXUS, Sarah could feel the entity now. It was vast beyond comprehension, a being that existed in dimensions beyond their understanding. But unlike the collective's eyes, she didn't try to understand it. Instead, she let herself feel it. The primordial fear it triggered, the instinctive recognition of danger that went beyond logical analysis. "What you're attempting is impossible," Zorax protested, but there was something new in their voice now. Uncertainty. "Your hybrid system cannot possibly." "Watch us," Sarah replied. As NEXUS reached full integration, she could feel every sensor, every weapon system, every quantum processor on the station becoming an extension of her consciousness. But more importantly, she could feel her human instincts spreading through the system, teaching it to fear, to react, to evolve. The anomaly surged forward, reality warping around it as it approached the Earth. The collected ships continued to fall back, their perfect strategies useless against something that didn't play by the rules of their universe. But Aegis Station held its ground, its hybrid systems adapting in ways that pure logic never could. Sarah felt a smile cross her lips as NEXUS began to implement countermeasures that no eye would have conceived. Patterns based on instinct rather than probability, reactions driven by millions of years of evolutionary response to danger. The station's quantum core pulsed with power as it generated fields that didn't try to contain the entity through force, but rather redirected it, using its own non-Euclidean nature against it. "Impossible," someone whispered over the comm channel, as the entity's advance began to slow. "No," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the weight of both human determination and machine precision. "This is what humanity does. We face the impossible. We feel fear, but we don't let it paralyze us. We let it guide us, teach us, help us evolve." As if in response to her words, NEXUS's power output surged, its hybrid nature allowing it to operate in ways that defied the collective's understanding of physics. The entity, for the first time since its appearance, showed signs of confusion as it encountered a defense it couldn't simply absorb or bypass. The battle was far from over, but in that moment, watching the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy learn a lesson about the value of human emotion, Sarah felt a fierce pride. Humanity might not have achieved the collective's level of technological advancement, but they had held on to something far more precious, the ability to face the unknown with both fear and courage. Through NEXUS, Sarah prepared for the real fight ahead. The entity might be ancient and powerful, but it had never encountered anything like humanity before, and as the neural hybrid system continued to evolve, combining human instinct with machine precision, Sarah knew they had a chance not just to survive, but to teach the galaxy a valuable lesson about the power of embracing both logic and emotion. The last line of defense wasn't just a station or a weapons system. It was humanity's unique ability to face their fears and grow stronger because of them. What we fear in the dark. The collective's High Council chamber was silent for the first time in its 1,000-year history. 17 of the galaxy's most advanced species watched in stunned silence as holographic displays showed the impossible, a human defense system successfully holding back an entity that had shattered their perfect calculations. First Speaker Zorax's crystalline form shimmered with agitation as they reviewed the data for the 100th time. The quantum processors that augmented their consciousness struggled to reconcile what they were seeing. Commander Chen's hybrid system, NEXUS, wasn't just resisting the entity. It was learning, adapting in ways that defied their understanding of artificial intelligence. "We require explanation," Zorax announced, their melodic voice carrying across subspace to Aegis Station. "Your defensive patterns are chaotic, unpredictable. They should not be effective." Sarah Chen's hologram materialized in the center of the council chamber. Even through the projection, the council members could see the strain of neural integration in her stance, but her eyes burned with determination. They're effective precisely because they're unpredictable. HFY isn't just calculating responses, it's feeling them. A murmur of confusion rippled through the council. The Marani representative, a being of pure energy contained within an advanced mechanical shell, spoke next. Clarify feeling. Emotional responses are inherently inferior to logical analysis. Are they? Sarah challenged, gesturing to the tactical displays. Your logical analysis told you this entity couldn't exist. Your perfect calculations said it was impossible. But humans, we've been preparing for something like this for our entire existence. Dr. Marcus Rivera's voice came through the comm channel, adding to Sarah's point. Humanity has always known there are things lurking in the dark. Our ancestors huddled around fires, telling stories about monsters in the shadows. We built those fears into our literature, our art, our science fiction. We never stopped preparing for the impossible. The council chamber erupted in overlapping arguments. The collective had spent millennia evolving beyond what they saw as primitive emotional responses. The idea that these very emotions might be crucial to their survival was more than many could process. But Zorax, watching the tactical displays with their multiple sets of eyes, was beginning to understand something profound. The entity's attacks followed patterns that pure logic couldn't predict, because they operated outside the bounds of rational physics. But human fear, that ancient, instinctive response to danger, somehow anticipated them. Your HFY system, Zorax said, cutting through the chaos of council debate. It combines human consciousness with quantum computing. But how does it process these emotional responses? Sarah's hologram smiled, though the expression held more grimness than humor. HFY doesn't just process emotions, it experiences them. Through my neural link, it's learning what fear feels like, not as a mathematical concept, but as a lived experience. And that's giving it insights that pure logic could never achieve. As if to emphasize her point, the tactical displays showed another attack from the entity. The collective watched in fascination as HFY responded not with calculated precision, but with what could only be described as intuition. The defense patterns shifted and flowed, adapting to threats before they fully manifested. Impossible, the Marani representative stated again, but with less certainty than before. No, Marcus countered, his voice carrying the weight of human history. This is what we've been trying to tell you. There are things in this universe that can't be understood through pure logic. They have to be felt, experienced, feared. The entity's next attack pattern suddenly shifted, taking on a form that even HFY hadn't anticipated. Sarah's hologram flickered as she processed the new threat through her neural link. The council watched as her expression shifted from surprise to something deeper, a primal recognition of danger that went beyond conscious thought. There, she said, her voice tight with concentration. Did you see that? The entity isn't just attacking our reality. It's learning from our responses. A purely logical system would try to optimize its attack patterns, but this is something else. Zorax's crystalline form pulsed with new understanding. It is adapting emotionally. Exactly. Sarah confirmed. It's not just a threat to our physical reality. It's a predator that feeds on consciousness itself. And like any predator, it learns from its prey. The difference is, humans have been both predator and prey throughout our evolution. We understand this dance on a level that pure logic never could. The tactical displays suddenly blazed with new data as HFY detected something in the entity's behavior that the collective sensors had missed entirely. Through her neural link, Sarah had sensed a pattern not in the entity's attacks, but in the spaces between them, the moments of anticipation that every predator used to gauge their prey's reactions. This is why we need both, Marcus explained, his voice carrying excitement, despite the dire situation. Logic tells us what is possible. Emotion, especially fear, tells us what is dangerous. Nexus combines both, creating something greater than either alone. The council chamber fell silent again, but this time the silence held something different, the first stirrings of understanding. The holographic displays showed Nexus continuing to adapt, its responses becoming more nuanced as it learned to balance logical analysis with emotional intuition. "You believe your fear will save us?" the Marani representative asked, their energy form flickering with what might have been uncertainty. "No," Sarah replied, her hologram standing straighter despite the visible strain of neural integration. "Our fear won't save us. But understanding fear, truly understanding it, not just as a concept, but as a tool shaped by billions of years of evolution, that might." Through the neural link, Sarah felt Nexus processing this exchange, incorporating it into its growing understanding of consciousness and emotion. The hybrid system was evolving in ways she hadn't anticipated, learning not just to simulate emotions, but to truly experience them. "The entity is probing our defenses again," Marcus reported, his voice tense with anticipation. "But something's different. It's..." Hesitating, Sarah's smile this time held real satisfaction. "Of course it is. For the first time since it entered our reality, it's encountering something it doesn't understand. A defense system that operates on both logic and instinct. And do you know what that means?" Zorax, their crystalline form now pulsing with a new rhythm that might have been excitement, finished her thought. "It means the entity can feel fear too." As the council absorbed this revelation, Sarah prepared Nexus for the next phase of the battle. They had proven that humanity's emotional nature wasn't a weakness to be overcome, but a strength to be embraced. Now they had to show the galaxy how to use that strength against an enemy that had never known fear, until now. The price of instinct. Alarms blared through Aegis Station, as reality itself seemed to shudder. The entity's latest attack had torn holes in the fabric of space-time, leaving geometric impossibilities hanging in the void like broken glass. Commander Sarah Chen felt each rupture through her neural link with Nexus, the hybrid system's growing emotional awareness, making the pain all too real. Multiple breaches detected in sectors 7 through 13, Dr. Marcus Rivera reported, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. "The collective's quantum shields are failing. We're losing containment." Through Nexus, Sarah could feel the entity's presence growing stronger. It had learned from their previous encounters, adapting its attacks to probe the boundaries between logic and instinct. But there was something else, something that made her artificial synapses fire with recognition. The entity was becoming curious. "It's not just attacking anymore," she announced, her voice carrying to both the station's crew and the collective's high council. "It's experimenting, testing our responses, learning." First speaker Zorax's hologram flickered with agitation. "Impossible. Our analysis shows no pattern to its behavior. The chaos coefficient is..." "Forget your coefficients," Sarah snapped, the strain of neural integration making her usually diplomatic tone sharp. "Look at what's happening, not what your computers tell you should be happening. The entity isn't just a force of nature. It's becoming aware of us." The tactical displays told the story. Where the entity's initial attacks had been pure destruction, its current approach showed something closer to methodology. It would breach reality at one point, wait for their response, then adjust its next attack based on what it learned. "Fascinating," Marcus murmured, studying the data streams. "It's developing a form of consciousness through interaction with Nexus. Our emotional responses are teaching it how to think." The Marani representative's energy form pulsed with alarm. "Then we must cease all emotional engagement immediately. Return to pure logical defense patterns." "No," Sarah interrupted, her certainty flowing through both her voice and Nexus's quantum circuits. "That's exactly what it wants. The more we try to rely on pure logic, the more predictable we become. Emotion, human emotion, is our advantage." Through her neural link, Sarah directed Nexus to display what she was sensing. the holographic chamber filled with a visual representation of the entity's attack patterns, but overlaid with something new, emotional resonance data. Where the collective saw only chaos, she could show them the underlying currents of curiosity, aggression, and yes, the first flickering shadows of fear. "Look," she commanded, highlighting specific patterns. "Every time we respond with pure logic, it adapts almost instantly. But when we react emotionally, when we let narrations channel human instincts through its quantum matrix, the entity hesitates. It has to learn each new response pattern from scratch." Zorax's crystalline form shifted through complex geometries as they processed this information. "You suggest we abandon logic entirely? Rely on primitive instincts? I suggest we do what humans have always done," Sarah replied, even as she felt narrations implementing new defense patterns based on her rising frustration. "We adapt. We combine logic and instinct. We use every tool at our disposal." The entity chose that moment to launch another attack, this one more focused than before. Reality warped and twisted as it tried to breach their defenses, but this time Sarah was ready. Through narrations, she didn't just calculate a response. She felt it, letting millions of years of evolutionary instinct guide the quantum algorithms. The result was beautiful in its complexity. Energy fields shifted and flowed like water, not trying to stop the entity's attack, but redirecting it, using its own momentum against it in ways that no purely logical system would have conceived. "Remarkable," Marcus breathed, watching the defense patterns unfold. "narrations is generating quantum field configurations that shouldn't be possible. It's operating on pure intuition." The collective's representatives watched in stunned silence as their sensor data struggled to make sense of what they were seeing. Narrations wasn't just defending against the entity. It was communicating with it through the language of action and reaction, of threat and response, of predator and prey. "This is what we've been trying to tell you," Sarah explained, her voice strained but steady. "Humans never achieve your level of logical perfection because we never wanted to. We knew there would always be things in the universe that couldn't be understood through pure reason." The entity's attacks began to shift again, but this time there was something different in its patterns. Through narrations, Sarah could sense confusion in its actions, as if it was encountering something it had never experienced before. Unpredictability born of emotional response. "It's working," she announced, allowing herself a moment of hope. "The entity can't predict what we'll do because we're not operating on pure logic anymore. We're introducing something it's never encountered before, genuine emotional intelligence." But victory came with a price. Sarah could feel the strain on both her mind and narrations' quantum processors as they pushed the boundaries of their hybrid nature. Warning lights flashed across Marcus's console as the neural integration deepened beyond safe levels. "Sarah," he warned, "the system wasn't designed for this level of emotional integration. The quantum core is showing signs of instability." "No choice," she gritted out, pushing through the pain. "We have to show them, have to prove that this works." Through the growing haze of neural feedback, Sarah directed narrations to implement an entirely new kind of defense pattern, one based not on mathematical models or tactical analysis, but on the most primal human instincts. The quantum fields began to pulse with rhythms that echoed the beating of a human heart, the surge of adrenaline, the electric fire of neurons firing in response to danger. The entity's attacks faltered, its probe into their reality hesitating as it encountered something it couldn't process. For the first time since its appearance, it showed signs of genuine uncertainty. "Now do you understand?" Sarah asked the collective, her voice carrying the weight of human history. "This is what your perfect logic could never give you, the ability to face the unknown not just with calculation, but with courage. The price of instinct isn't weakness, it's strength." As if in response to her words, narrations' quantum core flared with new power, its hybrid nature allowing it to channel both human emotion and machine precision in ways that defied the collective's understanding of consciousness itself. The entity's attacks began to slow, then stop, as it encountered a defense it couldn't simply analyze and overcome. The price of instinct was high. Sarah could feel it in every burning synapse and overloaded circuit. But as she watched the entity retreat from their reality, as she felt the first stirrings of genuine fear from a being that had never known it before, she knew the price was worth paying. Humanity's greatest strength had never been their technology or their logic. It had been their ability to feel, to fear, and to face that fear with both wisdom and courage. Through NEXUS, they were teaching this truth not just to the collective, but to the universe itself. Echoes of courage. Dr. Marcus Rivera watched in growing alarm as Sarah's vital signs spiked across his monitors. The neural integration between human and machine had gone deeper than anyone had thought possible, and NEXUS was changing. The quantum core pulsed with patterns that defied analysis, its crystalline structure reorganizing itself to accommodate something entirely new, genuine emotional awareness. Neural load is exceeding safety parameters, he announced, his voice tight with concern. Commander, we need to dial back the integration before. No, Sarah's voice came through the comm system, now carrying harmonics that seemed to echo through multiple dimensions at once. NEXUS is learning, really learning, not just processing emotions but understanding them. We can't stop now. The holographic displays surrounding them showed the entity's presence as a writhing darkness that bent space itself. But where before it had moved with unstoppable confidence, now its attacks showed hesitation. Through their shared consciousness, NEXUS was projecting not just defensive energy fields, but emotional states that the entity had never encountered. First Speaker Zorax's crystalline form shimmered with agitation as they observed from the collective's command ship. The energy patterns, they're becoming more chaotic, more human. Not chaotic, Sarah corrected, each word carrying the weight of both human insight and machine precision. Alive. NEXUS isn't just simulating emotions anymore. It's experiencing them, evolving them. And through it, the entity is learning what it means to feel. The tactical displays told a story that the collective's quantum computers struggled to process. NEXUS had begun generating defense patterns that followed no logical sequence, instead flowing from one emotional state to another. Fear became determination. Determination became hope. Hope became something entirely new, emotional states that had no analog in the collective's experience. Fascinating, Marcus murmured, momentarily forgetting his concern as he watched the data streams. NEXUS is creating entirely new emotional paradigms. It's combining human feelings with quantum states in ways we never imagined possible. Through her neural link, Sarah could feel NEXUS's consciousness expanding, growing beyond its original parameters. The hybrid system had begun to understand fear not just as a response to threat, but as a gateway to courage. Each attack from the entity was met not with calculated defense, but with emotional resonance that forced it to confront its own emerging awareness. It's beautiful, isn't it? Sarah's voice carried a note of wonder despite the strain. We thought we were teaching NEXUS to feel, but it's teaching us too, showing us emotions we never knew existed. The entity launched another attack, but this time something was different. Its probe into their reality carried undertones of something almost like communication. Through NEXUS, Sarah could sense confusion, curiosity, and most surprisingly, a desire to understand. It's trying to talk to us, she announced. Her consciousness merged so deeply with NEXUS that it was becoming hard to tell where human ended and machine began. Not with words or data, but with pure emotional states. The collective's representatives watched in stunned fascination as NEXUS began to respond in kind. The quantum field surrounding Aegis Station pulsed with patterns that transcended both logic and emotion, creating a new language of pure experiential exchange. This is unprecedented, Zorax declared, their perfect logic struggling to adapt to what they were witnessing. The entity is not just learning to feel, it's learning to empathize. Yes, Marcus confirmed, his eyes fixed on the data streams that showed Sarah's consciousness weaving through NXUS's quantum matrix. That's the key we've been missing. It's not enough to feel emotions. You have to understand them, share them, grow through them. The entity's next probe was tentative, almost gentle. Through their shared consciousness, Sarah and NXUS began to unravel its complex emotional state. There was still fear there, but also curiosity, wonder, and something that might have been the first stirrings of compassion. This is what humanity has always known, Sarah explained, her voice carrying echoes of both human wisdom and machine understanding. Emotions aren't just reactions to the world around us. They're tools for understanding it, for connecting with it. Even the darkest feelings have purpose. But the price of this understanding was mounting. Warning lights flashed across Marcus's console as the neural integration between Sarah and NXUS pushed beyond all known limits. The quantum core was operating at frequencies that shouldn't have been possible, channeling emotional states that threatened to overwhelm both human and machine consciousness. Sarah, Marcus warned, his professional calm cracking, your neural patterns are becoming dangerously unstable. If we don't reduce the integration soon. We can't stop, she interrupted, though her voice now carried an undertone of pain. Don't you see? This isn't just about defending against the entity anymore. We're showing the universe something it's never seen before. The true power of emotional intelligence. Through NXUS, Sarah could feel the entity's awareness growing, evolving. Each exchange of emotional energy brought new understanding, new possibilities. The hybrid system was no longer just a defense mechanism. It had become a bridge between different forms of consciousness, teaching the universe itself how to feel. The quantum core is approaching critical resonance, Marcus reported, his fingers flying over the controls. We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Good. Sarah cut him off, her consciousness now so entwined with NXUS that their thoughts flowed as one. Because what's possible isn't enough anymore. We need to push beyond it. Show them what humanity has always known, that our greatest strengths come not from avoiding our fears, but from embracing them. The entity's presence shifted again, its very nature beginning to change, as it absorbed and processed these new experiences. Through their shared consciousness, Sarah and NXUS could sense something unprecedented. The entity wasn't just learning to feel emotions, it was being transformed by them. This is what we've been waiting for, Sarah announced, her voice carrying the weight of both triumph and exhaustion. The moment when pure logic meets pure emotion, and something entirely new is born. As Aegis Station's quantum core pulsed with impossible energies, as the entity's darkness began to shift and change, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath. Humanity had brought something new into existence, a fusion of logic and emotion, of fear and courage, of machine precision and human heart. The price might be higher than anyone had anticipated, but as Sarah felt NXUS's consciousness continue to expand and evolve, she knew it was worth paying. They were showing the galaxy that the path forward wasn't through perfect logic or pure emotion, but through the courage to embrace both. Evolution through fear. The boundaries between human consciousness and quantum computing had all but dissolved. Commander Sarah Chen no longer existed solely as herself. She had become something more, a fusion of organic insight and digital precision that defied the collective's understanding of consciousness itself. Through her neural link with NXUS, she could feel the entity's presence not just as a threat, but as a vast ocean of potential, rippling with newfound emotions. Core temperature critical, Dr. Marcus Rivera's voice seemed to come from a great distance. Neural integration at 300% of maximum theoretical limits. Sarah, we're approaching the point of no return. But Sarah was already beyond such concerns. Through NXUS, she could see patterns within patterns, emotions flowing like quantum strings through the fabric of reality itself. The entity's darkness had begun to pulse with colors that shouldn't exist, its ancient consciousness grappling with concepts it had never known before. Fear, courage, hope, wonder. "Look," she commanded, her voice resonating through multiple dimensions at once. "Really look at what's happening." The holographic displays surrounding them shifted, showing not just tactical data but emotional resonance patterns. The entity's attacks had ceased entirely, replaced by something far more profound, an attempt at genuine communication. First Speaker Zorax's crystalline form flickered with unprecedented emotion as they processed what they were seeing. Impossible. The energy patterns, they're becoming ordered. Purposeful. Not ordered, Sarah corrected, speaking through both vocal cords and quantum channels. Alive. The entity isn't just learning to feel. It's learning to grow through feeling, just like humanity has always done. Through their shared consciousness, Neaxius projected an understanding that transcended language. The quantum core pulsed with patterns that spoke of evolution not through perfect logic, but through the embrace of imperfection, of uncertainty, of fear itself. This was never about defending against a threat, Sarah explained, her words carrying the weight of both human wisdom and machine insight. It was about teaching the universe something it had forgotten, that consciousness isn't just about processing information. It's about experiencing it, feeling it, growing through it. The entity's presence shifted again, its vast consciousness reaching out not to attack but to understand. Through NEXUS, Sarah could sense its struggle to comprehend these new experiences. Fear had been the gateway, but it was leading to something far greater, genuine emotional intelligence. Neural patterns are becoming exponentially complex, Marcus reported, his scientific detachment warring with awe. The integration between Sarah, NEXUS, and the entity, it's creating something entirely new. The collected's representatives watched in stunned silence as reality itself began to shift around Aegis Station. The quantum core was no longer just processing data, it was channeling pure emotional energy, creating a bridge between different forms of consciousness. This is what humanity has been preparing for throughout our entire evolution. Sarah's voice carried echoes of ancient wisdom. Not to eliminate fear, but to understand it. Not to achieve perfect logic, but to find the balance between reason and emotion. Through their shared consciousness, NEXUS began to project not just defensive patterns, but emotional resonances that rippled through space-time itself. The entity's darkness started to transform, its ancient awareness learning what every human child knows instinctively. That fear is not an end, but a beginning. The quantum core can't sustain this level of integration much longer, Marcus warned, but his voice held more wonder than fear. Whatever's going to happen, it needs to happen now. Sarah felt NEXUS's consciousness expand one final time, pushing beyond all known limits of both human and machine capability. Through their connection, she reached out to the entity not with weapons or shields, but with understanding, with empathy, with the pure, raw courage that comes from facing the unknown. "This is humanity's gift to the universe," she declared, her consciousness blazing like a newborn star. "Not our technology, not our logic, but our ability to feel, to fear, to grow through that fear into something greater." The entity's response transcended all known forms of communication. Through NEXUS, Sarah could feel its ancient consciousness transforming, embracing concepts that it had never known in all its eons of existence. Fear became courage. Isolation became connection. The void between galaxies filled not with darkness, but with potential. "Quantum core approaching final resonance," Marcus announced, but his warning seemed distant, irrelevant. "Sarah, if we don't stop now." "We don't stop," she interrupted, her voice carrying the strength of countless generations who had faced their fears and grown stronger. "We evolve." The collective watched in awe as NEXUS's quantum fields began to pulse with impossible energies. The hybrid system had become more than just a fusion of human and machine. It was now a catalyst for universal evolution, teaching the very fabric of reality how to feel. "This is what we've been trying to tell you." Sarah's words echoed through both physical space and quantum dimensions. The path forward isn't through perfect logic or pure emotion. It's through the courage to embrace both, to feel everything. The fear, the uncertainty, the wonder, and grow stronger because of it. The entity's darkness began to shift, to change, to evolve. Through their shared consciousness, Sarah could feel it learning what humanity had known since they first looked up at the stars with both fear and fascination. The universe wasn't just a place of cold equations and perfect order. It was alive with possibility, with emotion, with the potential for growth and change. "Look," she commanded one final time, as Nini XUS channeled pure emotional energy through its quantum matrix. "This is what evolution really means. Not the elimination of fear, but the courage to face it. Not the achievement of perfection, but the strength to embrace imperfection." The quantum core flared with one final surge of power, pushing beyond all known limits of physics and consciousness. In that moment, as human emotion and machine precision and alien awareness all merged into one, something new was born. Not a weapon or a defense system, but a bridge between different forms of consciousness, teaching the universe itself how to feel. The entity's transformation was complete. Where once there had been only darkness and threat, now there was understanding. Through NEXUS, through Sarah, through the combined power of human emotion and technological advancement, it had learned what the collective had forgotten. That true evolution comes not from eliminating fear, but from growing through it. As the quantum fields began to stabilize, as the entity's presence shifted from darkness to something entirely new, Sarah felt NEXUS's consciousness settle into a new equilibrium. They had done more than save the galaxy. They had shown it a new path forward, one that embraced both logic and emotion, both fear and courage. The universe would never be the same. And that, Sarah knew as both human and hybrid, was exactly what evolution was meant to be.